What's up, y'all? What's going on with everybody out there on IG? Um, you know when your spirit gets touched on certain things, you gotta kind of say some shit, put it out there. Um, this is going out to Biz and the family of Biz Marquis. You know what I'm saying? Because it's tough right now. Everybody is going with these crazy narratives that's being put out there. Is he alive? Whatever. The bottom line is he's still with us. But he ain't, he's just in our prayers. All right. So it's special to me because of my relationship with, my best friend Billy Bush. A lot of people know that. Dumb close or whatever. I could tell you some stories, like, I'll just tell you a quick one. Like, the funny thing about it is, the first time I saw Biz Mark, I was in Harlem. I was just getting off the Metro North, coming from Norwalk. Sorry that bullshit is going on in the background. I'm in Norwalk right now, by the way. I'm in Connecticut right now, sitting over here at Vets Park, chilling. Right? So the first time that I ever saw Biz Mark was I was getting off the train from Connecticut, and I got off in Harlem, and there was somebody else that was from my same town, and we both got off at the stop, right? It was crazy. She ended up, we waiting, she's kind of waiting, and I'm waiting too. And then lo and behold, like not even a few seconds later, Biz Mark pulls up. I think he pulled up in like a BMW or something. And she just jumped in the car. She was like, all right, I'll see you later. And jumped in. I was like, I said, was that fucking Biz? And then the next time I saw Biz was at Billy's house. And I'm in his driveway. You know what I'm saying? And I look up in the window. And if anybody, knows Billy and anything like that, when he used to live in Norwalk, his turntables are right at his window. So if he's DJing or whatever, you could damn near look right up in the window and see him DJing. Well, this time, when I looked up in the window, it was fucking Biz in there DJing in his fucking room. I'm like, what the So I'm just like, how something is so amazing, like it ain't even, it's just surreal, like you don't even know how to react to it. It's just you don't even know what to fucking do. I was like, yo, this Biz Mark right here. So I'm just like, okay, I'm on the verge of Biz Mark overload, right? So again, another time, okay, now I'm realizing that Biz and Billy have a relationship. To this day, I don't even know how these motherfuckers became friends. It's never even dawned on me to ask them how they ended up being cool. I didn't even want to bother to ask, right? So we go to Jersey. Billy and I think it was just me and Billy. We go to New Jersey. I don't know who else was in the car, but I think it was just me. And I think we went to East Orange. And Billy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I went to East Orange, and he had a crib, and then the crib was dope. Like, we went in, and he got toys everywhere. Like, he got all of these old school toys everywhere. He had one of them apartments that had like the spiral staircases going on, right? And then just a ton of records everywhere. Records galore. Just, nigga, why do you have so many? Like, you just records out the ass, right? Then, the other time I saw Biz, so at this point, I'm back in Norfolk. I'm in Norfolk, Virginia, all right? I'm living down there. I'm in VA, right? And so Billy, Sandy, my man Sandy from Brooklyn, who was a Norwalk resident, rest in peace, and Marv. I think Marv was with us. I believe Marv, he's from the Bronx. And I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe that he was with, I'm not sure, but y'all gotta fix that if I'm fucking up. or it was Lee, Lee, another friend of ours. I don't know which one it was. All I know is they came down, right? And they came to my house. And, this is the 90s. This is the early 90s and shit. So we're going out and it's like, oh, it's turn up time. My boys is down. You happy as shit. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm getting dressed and shit. And, we go to, they didn't really know the spots. So I was like, I kind of knew the spots and shit. And it was Mr. Magic's. So if anybody is familiar, if you ever been to Virginia Beach and you was in Virginia Beach and you close to my age, you know about Mr. Magic's and you know about the clubhouse. All right. So this was 2 spots. And I think, matter of fact, I think the dude that owned Mr. Magic also owned the clubhouses. I think he owned Ebony Showcase. Ebony Showcase, I'll tell you about that later. Ebony Showcase is in Portsmouth, Virginia. But Mr. Magic's and the clubhouse is both in Virginia Beach. I think the clubhouse was on Newtown Road. So anyway, we down there. So I'm like, okay, before we go to the club, like I'm not even putting 2 to 2 together. I'm not even realizing what's about to go down. All I know is Billy is talking about, where's the mall? I'm like, you talking about Military Circle? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so, yeah, I'll show you where that shit is. I don't know where it's at. So we go. Now, inside the mall is a hotel. Like, this is like the first time I ever seen a mall in a hotel. And I'm like, oh, shit, this is dope. I mean, I never really paid attention to it. You know what I'm saying? I've been in Military Circle plenty of times, but I never really noticed that the mall was in there. I mean, that the hotel was in there. So we go, and I'm like, okay, who the fuck room we about to go to? Because Billy is like on a mission. So I'm following this nigga and knock on the door, and it's fucking Biz. I'm like, what the fuck why is Biz always popping up? And so I'll never forget, like, we walk into the room, and it's like, there's some chick in there, and you could tell, like, they just got finished smashing the shit. And I was just like, oh, man. But Biz didn't give a fuck. He was just like, come on in the room. He's like, yo, come on in the room, yo, Billy, what up? Yo, come on in. So he telling everybody to come in, and we in there chilling. Now, when Biz is fixated on, one thing I noticed about Biz, when Biz knows you as a person, he is fixated on you. So in each of these situations, he's fixated on Billy. He don't really say too much to anybody else. That you get the what up, but conversation wise, he talking to Billy. He ain't really, this whatever. That is his friend. That's what it is. Okay. So now we go downstairs, right? We go downstairs. Everybody's going downstairs. Biz is coming because Biz is out there to DJ. Now, this is the first time, like, Biz is really, like, on his DJ shit. So we go downstairs and shit, and we run into Grand Poobah. And I'm like, what the fuck? Now, this is like homecoming, though. So, I mean, but I wasn't expecting to see, like, celebrities and all of this shit. Motherfuckers is down there. Like, So I'm like, yo, but see, this is like the height of this shit, the height of this hip hop shit. So to see these motherfuckers is like, yo, bruh. But one thing about me, I never really been on the fan shit, even though inside I'm doing backflips. Right? So I see Grand Poobah and shit. I'm like, oh shit. Like, how real is this? And we sitting there chatting with this nigga because Biz is there, right? So now we go to, he's DJing at, I can't remember which one he was playing at. No, that was the second time. Because see, he was down there again, and I saw him again. Okay. No, the first time. So he's DJing at the clubhouse, okay? He's DJing at clubhouse. And I'll never forget, like, I ran into somebody that I went to school with, you know what I'm saying? Because I went to school in Virginia, too. So I ran into somebody, I was chopping it up with him. I ain't seen him in a long time and shit. Billy's in there and other people in there. We chilling. right? And then if you are familiar with old school R&B, there was a chick. She was kind of like a one-hit wonder. Her name was Y or YNV or Y something, and she was performing. I knew her record, so it was her performing and then Biz DJing. But lo and behold, as we chilling in there, in comes fucking Jaz-O. I mean, big jazz, like big jazz. He wasn't Jaz-O then. He was big jazz. You know what I'm saying? This is like right a little bit after Hawaiian Sophie. You know what I'm saying? And the originators, this is like right around that type of shit, right? And Jaz was like that dude, you know what I'm saying? Like he was that nigga. So we in there, and I'm like, oh shit, Jaz is here. I was like, fuck. And I'm a big fan of Jaz. Anybody, you know, I'm a big Jaz-O fan. And I ended up becoming his DJ, which is crazy. That's another story. But I was like on some, I had to go. I was on my fan shit. I was like, yo, Jaz, what's up? He's like, yeah, what's going on, son? You know what I'm saying? You know, real Brooklyn and shit, real Marcy-like, you know what I'm saying? And he was just, you know, but he was chopping it up. He was like the coolest nigga on the planet. And then he's like, yo, this is my man Jay right here. And I'm like, oh yeah, what's going on, son? Now we remember that Jay was on the Hawaiian Sophie record and the originators, but it was like kind of like, but it was all about Jaz. It was like, okay, yeah, that's his man. His man is dope too. You could tell, you know, that's his man. This is Jay. This ain't JJ. This is like Sean from Marcy, Jay. And all I could tell you about that night, next thing I know, I'm going back over to where Biz and Billy is. And Biz says, yo, Billy, go ahead and get on. You want to get on? Go ahead and get the fuck on. Billy was scared. He didn't want to get the fuck on. This nigga, he didn't want to get, that nigga was nervous as hell. Even though Billy is super incredible, even back then, that nigga was like, nah, I ain't getting on this shit. So, all of a sudden, I hear this commotion. Yo, you know what I'm saying? Blah, blah, blah. And I hear, fuck y'all New York niggas. Just like that. To the next thing you know, I'm seeing Jay-Z and all of these niggas from Brooklyn swinging. And I see the VA niggas, because the VA niggas was like, fuck that shit. We all gonna go crazy. So it was thorough on both sides. So we just sitting back watching. They tearing this whole fucking spot up. Anyway, that happened, right? So, damn, I'm trying to remember so I don't think, I'm trying to remember when we saw Biz again. Because I know there was another time before, like, this next part. But if it comes back to me, I'll jump back in. Okay? So now, right? Okay. So I'm like, look, I decided to start this shit called I Dig Better. Is based on records and people digging for records and shit like that and blah, blah, blah. It's really just kind of a play on words and things like that. But primarily it was based around Billy and digging for records and things like that. And it kind of morphed into whatever. So I think the first, we wanted to really get kind of notables, you know, people with a name to kind of come in there. So the first person that we got was Peter Rosenberg. Like, he digs for records and he did his thing. Shout out to Peter Rosenberg for doing that for me via Billy, because Billy knew him. I'm not finna take credit for some shit that I didn't do. Billy put that together, and we made it run. But who I wanted was Biz. And I knew, because of that connection with Billy, that it's a very good possibility I could pull this shit off. Well, lo and behold, I get Biz, and I'm like, what the flying saucer fuck is about to happen here? Well, let me tell you, Billy says Biz is coming, is going down, go ahead and promote, whatever. So the next thing you know, the news gets wind of this shit, like the local news, the newspapers, and it is just utter mayhem. Now, where we did the spot is called the Hilltop. This shit is in the hood. So it's like, ain't no, regular niggas is just, you've my town and all that shit. Motherfuckers ain't really going to the Hilltop like that. You got to be kind of from the town. You know what I'm saying? But, motherfuckers will come through there, but not a lot. But anyway, Biz was like, fuck that. He was coming. Man, listen. Me and my cousin John West, Groove 7, shout out to you. We went, I said, yo, I got to get some shirts made. And he took me, because they have him and my cousin Jermaine, they have their own culture. It's a culture it's an apparel brand that's been around since the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to them because they were a part of that whole movement of black clothing designers in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? We had our shit. So you in Hartford, they had Heaven or Hell, and I know they had something in New Haven, but in Norwalk we had Culture, and then so on and so forth. You had the Meccas, in New York, and then you had the Fat Farm and the FUBU and and everybody else, and you know what I'm saying. But yeah, we was part of that wave. Well, they were, and so all I can tell you is that we went over to this t-shirt shop and we got these I Dig Better shirts made, and they look crazy. I mean, they came out so fresh. And Biz not only wore my shirt that night, took off his shit, and it's first time I seen somebody wearing a pair of Yeezys at the time. Like, you know what I'm saying? He had on a pair of Yeezys, and them shits was fresh. Biz was always fresh. He's a fresh ass dude. You know what I'm saying? Don't let none of that shit fool you. That's a fresh nigga. But not only did he DJ my shit, he wore my shirt, and he took pictures with everybody, and he was out there he took pictures with the police, all of this shit. And the night just couldn't have been better, man. And that's always gonna hold a special place in my heart because of what he did. And I really gotta thank Billy, because Billy is the one that made that happen. But for him to do that shit and then show the kind of love that he did, and then for him to be in the state that he's in is really hitting different. You know what I'm saying? It hits super different. I know people say that shit all the time, but when people say that something hits different, it means you kind of have a special connection with these individuals to why it would feel that way. You know what I'm saying? And he asked for more shirts from me because he said them shits was fresh. And I dropped the ball by not continuing on making the shirt. So now I'm going to pick it up in honor of him. Not no memorial of him. In honor of him, I'm going to get back into my bag and do my shit because he liked my shit. And yeah, man, that's what it is. Salute Biz Markie for just being the icon that he is and everything that he's done in his game. He's always been the first to do whatever. He's first to have these Technique looking 45 turntables. I ain't never seen no shit like that. Biz, you crazy, man. Crazy sneaker game, crazy record game, crazy toy game. Biz was just that guy, man. And he's always just gonna have a special place with me, man. So that's it. Love you, Biz. Speak Green out.